Hi, this is Rob Caputo, and I'm here to help you out with a 2017 Volvo XC90 front brake pad and rotor replacement. The tools you're going to need for this job are pretty basic. It's a 1/2 inch ratchet, 3/8 inch ratchet, torque wrench, long torque wrench with a hammer, flathead screwdriver, a T30 socket, 18 millimeter socket, and 3/4 inch socket. And the tool that the Volvo gives to you is the cover for the lug nuts. It's in the center of your screen, and you're going to need that to remove the lug nut covers. This next video shows you how to do that. It's pretty basic and very easy to do. First thing you want to do is safe off the car. You want to jack the car up. I use 2 jacks and 2 jack stands for safety, just to make sure that nothing falls. You want to make sure that when you're doing something like this that you take extra precaution with safety. This video shows you exactly how to use the tool that Volvo gives you. You basically just snap it in place and pull off the lug nut cover. It's very simple, very easy to use. I guess the first question is why am I doing this? It is a 2017 Volvo XC90. When you press on the brakes, it does pulsate, and that's typically due to the rotors being a little warped. Not necessarily that the brake pads are bad, but the rotors are a little warped. So I'm buying a higher quality rotor. This is a pig pad. Basically, it absorbs any oil that comes off and kind of captures all the dirt that comes off of the brakes when you're working on them. It's an excellent product. The caliper is held on by 2 18 millimeter bolts. Basically, they're on there pretty good, so just be patient and work very slowly. You are going to have to use liquid wrench. Basically, just use a little bit of liquid wrench as you go. As you show some of the shaft of the bolt, just put a liquid wrench in there as you back it out slowly. So take your time. It took me about 20 minutes to get all 4 of these bolts that hold the calipers on loose, and I was sweating pretty good after that. So it's just a little bit of work, but be patient. Don't do anything silly, and you'll be okay. Again, back the bolts out slowly as you show some of the shaft of the bolt. You're going to want to introduce a little bit of liquid wrench, and just take your time. Let it soak in. And then when you get to a point where you can use a 1/2 inch ratchet with the 18 millimeter socket, and you can easily remove it, then go ahead. Once the caliper is off, or just before the caliper is off, you're going to want to use some zip ties, or anything in wire or something like that to hang the caliper up, so it doesn't put any stress on the brake lines. And you hang it on top of the rotor. You can just basically hang it from the strut. You'll see in this photo that it's on the strut, and it doesn't affect anything. So and it's nice and safe. Next thing you're going to want to do is identify the set screw that's on the rotor that holds it onto the knuckle. And I'm going to back off and show you in this next photograph where the torque set screw is. It's right there. So all you're going to need is a T30 Torx socket. It's a male, and then you're going to be able to remove that pretty simply. This is at the end of my 3/8 inch socket wrench with a 1/4 inch adapter, and I'm using the T30 to remove it. Very simple, very basic. You back it out. It's about 1 inch long, not even, probably 1/2 inch long actually. And that's what's going to set the new. Save that, because that's what's going to set the new rotor. I bought the Zimmerman rotors. They're excellent rotors. You can get them at FCP Euro, and that's to replace the original OEMs. So the OEMs are okay, but for some reason the OEMs I always experience some warping in them. So I always buy the Zimmermans to replace them. So when you remove the old rotor, you're going to notice that the wheel bearing, what the rotor actually sits on is very corroded. You're going to want to take some time and actually clean that off with a wire brush and put some anti-seize lubricant on it to protect it, and it'll make it so much easier to remove the tires or the wheels the next time you do this. Next step is to just identify where the brake fluid reservoir is, because when you start playing around with the brake pads, you're going to be actually compressing the pistons, and some of that fluid's going to go back up into the reservoir. You want to make sure that you're not losing anything and it doesn't. The reservoir in this car is up in the plastic area just behind the engine. I want to send a shout out to FCP Euro. You'll see them online, fcpeuro.com. The Zimmerman brake rotors that we get and the brake pads, they're beautiful. They're zinc coated. They have a lifetime warranty with FCP. And that's fantastic. If there's any problems or issues with the rotor or the brake pads, you call them up. They have record of it, and they'll replace those pads and rotors for you. All right, so now you're ready to remove the brake pads in the caliper. So you basically want to push the brake pads out of the caliper. They're very easy to do. Just basically use a screwdriver and just kind of pry them out. The one brake pad that's closest to the car has retainer springs, and that'll just pop right out. This retainer spring that I'm pointing at right now is in the front of the car, of the caliper, closest to the outside of the car, and that needs to be removed also. It's a little tricky to remove, but with a little bit of persuasion, you can remove that. And putting it back in is not that easy also. One of the best purchases I made was this Harbor Freight Tools disc brake caliper tool set. Comes in really handy when you want to compress the pistons on the caliper. It's just so much easier to do, and it only takes a couple seconds to set it up. This you could do it in two ways. You can do it with the brake pad in place, or you could do it the way I do it, which is remove the brake pad and just go straight to the caliper piston. There's a whole bunch of different sizes, size diameter pads for that tool, and you find the right one for you, and you just compress it. And remember when I said just keep an eye out on that reservoir? Now is the time to do it. These are the akebono brake pads that I bought from FCP Euro. They're excellent pads. They're low dust pads, no squeal. I've never had squeals, and I've bought probably 20 sets of these. Excellent pads. They come with a little bit of grease, but I suggest that you go out to your local hardware store or auto store and pick up your own grease. I suggest the CRC caliper grease and also the disc brake quiet to put on the back of the pads. This is a complete project. You put everything back together, put the springs back together, and then start setting the bolts, the 18mm bolts. But before you do that, you want to clean up your rotors with the CRC brake clean. Very good product. Just spray it down, use a little just paper towel, and just clean it off. All right, so this is the top side of the, looking from the top of the rotor down, and you'll see the 18mm bolts that you need to set back into place. This is when you can get that torque wrench ready. I set it at 100 foot-pounds. 103 foot-pounds is typically where it needs to go to match the basically the torque that's required for the wheels. So this is just another photograph showing you where they are. I'm also going to show you from the back side of the caliper where they're located. These yellow circles show you where they are, and just start off in reverse. Just basically start with the half-inch ratchet first, and just ease them in. Make sure that you're not cross-threading anything, and then when you get them all nice and snug, then you can torque them to 100 foot-pounds. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the brake pads that I had were fairly new. I mean, it's a 2017, only 38,000 miles, so it doesn't have too much wear on them. But I think it's because of the rotors and the fact that they were warped. So this is a final product. Cleaned everything up. I'm getting everything ready for to put the tires back on and wheels, and just torque everything back into place. So everything's clean, ready to go, ready to pick up the pig mats and just throw those out. Now you want to start to think about bleeding the brakes. This picture shows you basically the cap that covers up the bleeder uh, screw. Um, you definitely use some liquid wrench on this. They tend to seize up a little bit. If it's a newer car, it's probably not going to seize up, but just be safe. Use a little liquid wrench, let it sit for a little bit. Again, just like any other bolt or a screw on a car, you just want to be patient and take your time. You're going to use a closed socket wrench, a 10 millimeter, to crack this open. And in the next photo, you're going to see how I set this up. So you're going to have the open socket wrench or the closed socket wrench on the bleeder, and with a hose going to a like a 1 gallon jug. Someone's going to be in the car pressing on the brakes, and you're going to be getting this all prepped up. I use synthetic .4 brake fluid. It's excellent. It's a Valvoline product. And once you're done, you just want to make sure that everything's capped off. The reservoir is topped off, closed, and all the plastic parts put back into position. Now you're ready. You're ready to just drop the car and set your tires and torque all the lug nuts. When you're torquing the lug nuts, you torque them to about 100 foot-pounds, but just definitely check your owner's manual to make sure that you set it to the right torque. For this particular model, it's 100 foot-pounds is fine, and that's what I did. So you set the torque wrench and go ahead and in a cross pattern fashion, torque up all the lug nuts. Put the caps back on, and you're good to go. So I hope this was helpful, and good luck on your 2017 in that range brake pad replacement. If you have any comments, please leave them below.